There you go. A little glitch to start with. Well, hello and welcome, Medyhne. I'm so excited to do this podcast with you. We haven't done these things before, but hey, first is always exciting. So, and everyone who's watching, welcome to the Ascension Wisdom channel and wherever you're watching from. And so we are going to talk about the birth of New Earth humans, which is one of my absolute passions and something that I've been working towards. So Medyhne is another Aussie, which I love, who used to be Victorian and is now up in a warmer climate up in Queensland. So Medyhne, welcome, and I would love you to share with my audience something about yourself so people become familiar with the work you've done, and I know you've done an amazing amount of work. So rather than me telling, how about you share with the audience, what you've been about and what your work's about.
Well, thank you, Yvonne. It's really an honour to be chatting with you. You know, I see all the amazing work that you put out into the world to raise the consciousness and raise the frequency and really contribute to this evolution of, the new earth. And so I just want to honour you for that first before I start. Pleasure. So, and wonderful to chat with you today. I'm excited that we're going to be doing 3 of these too. So that's really wonderful. Really honoured to be asked. So, for myself, I do energy healing work. I've done that for about 30 years, and I've worked with individuals and groups. And I've also been very creative in my a way of dealing with my energy. I paint. I've got a painting behind me there. I write books. I've done many multiple radio shows, including one in America called Healthy Life Network. That was for a year, and I think it went out to about 4 million people, globally, in terms of the station, which was really wonderful. And it was beautiful to have the global platform as well. So I've done those sorts of things, and I've also set up, Patreon community globally to support community. I think it's really important to unify at the moment and come together in community. So I've done that. So yeah, my sessions, my mentoring, that, and then I have a YouTube channel called Arise Humanity, and I'm pretty prolific with my videos. I've done over 500 now. And so I've been doing a lot of interviews with some awesome people around the world, including, many Australians, and just putting out information to contribute to the collective in terms of the, the new earth, the ascension. It's so important to be able to not only be aware of what we've been going through and to bring exposure to the truth, but also to focus on the new energies that we're going into so that we can co-create that. And part of my new journey that is evolving now, and this has been in the back of my mind for over 10 years, was I had a sort of a feeling like, I think I'm going to do in the future sometime. Oh, I forgot to mention the music. I do a lot of music as well. I
was going to mention, what about your music? Come on.
I forgot about that. That's a huge part of what I've been doing, writing original music and doing concerts. And a friend of yours, I did a concert at her gallery in Frankston, Glennis Bourne, and that was a beautiful moment to share with people. I really loved that. And so yeah, music has been really important. But now my new part of my journey, which I started thinking about 10 years ago, but everything is divine timing. So it's like the perfect time just comes to you without you trying to push it or force it. It just comes at the right divine timing, and it's flowed incredibly well. And I'm now working with a filmmaker to put together a documentary called The New Golden Age, which is about talking to incredible people around Australia and a few internationally, but predominantly we're focusing on Australia, people who are making a big difference in in the world, how they're making the difference, what they're doing in order to contribute to their communities and to create new initiatives and new ways of going forward into, this new golden age. And, I'll be excited to be also interviewing yourself for this as well, which is, really beautiful, with your sage wisdom and your, soul knowledge and just your presence, and I think that with this documentary, I was really guided to do it because there's a lot of information out there about, what's gone wrong, what the things we've been up against and the challenges, but there's not a lot of information out there at the moment that I'm noticing that is particularly Australian or focused on Australia, which is about how do we set up these new paradigms, or how do we set up these new ways of moving forward and creating a completely different template for where we want to go. And the more that we focus on that, the more that we think about that, the more that we envision what that means to us, what's important to us, the more that we'll be able to bring that into the now, through the timeline, into the now moment. And instead of focusing and magnifying the darkness, which is the things that have gone wrong, we need to focus and magnify the things that we want to now create that will be completely new.
Wow, absolutely. That is exactly why you and I have found each other and are doing this. Thank you so much. And as I did put there to show your YouTube channel for people who are watching, and they can then go and follow you. And it's definitely worthwhile because, gosh, you have a volume of material on YouTube, and it's always wonderful to listen to you and the people that you speak to. So just a little background on me, although it's hard to do a little because of having been really, really busy for the last 37 years. So my really passion and focus has been to follow my spirit without hesitation and to really follow my soul mission. And right from the get-go, when I went through my awakening, I was given the mission that the earth was about to birth itself into a new phase of existence. And I was given the whole thing. I'd go to bed at night and I have no knowledge, no idea what the heck they were talking about, because I was very, very intellectually, and I was a mind on legs. And so and then I'd wake up in the morning, I'd have all this knowledge in my head, and I'd go, where the heck did that come from? And it really just put in front of me all the things that had to change and that were going to be demolished in a way, disintegrated, and that we were going to go. And as the earth birthed itself into a higher dimension, so humanity had to adjust and adapt and to go along with it. But before that was possible, of course, all the darkness was coming to the surface. And so I have been focused on the mission and, yes, observing all that has occurred with the knowledge and the knowingness. It's not knowledge, it's this inner knowingness that this has to happen. This is the way out. It's not for us to collapse into. And so then, of course, as everything has evolved over the last 30 so many years, in the beginning, I was working towards, 2012. That was the date. Okay, that the big change was happening in 2012. And I'm going, okay. And of course, 2012 came, and so I've been running retreats in Bali. And in 2010, I was told
I ran a retreat in Bali too.
In 2010, I was told you need to go to Bali and run a retreat on the 21st of December 2020. What was it? 2012, and you need to anchor a crystal in an important place. So it didn't tell me where the place was, but so I'm going, thank you very much. And how the heck am I going to go about that? But as you said before, when you surrender to the path reveals itself to you. And so, to cut a long story short, I did that retreat in 2012, and I was guided to a very sacred place that no one else really knows about, no Balinese, and it was quite fascinating. And anchored the crystal at 11:11.
Beautiful. Yes.
But then I realized that was the beginning. It was the opening portal, just another widening of the road. And so the work wasn't over, the work was beginning.
Yes. Yes.
So then really I looked at, okay, well, with all the pain and struggle and suffering of eons of the past of humanity, as we were going through the dark side of the cycle, then we needed to establish places of healing and where we could welcome all those who are waking up and coming across to this higher realm of existence. So then my aim was to create a sanctuary. Well, that didn't quite, with that they're all being created now. And I became quite enamored with work by Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, all the old wonderful people, and Barbara Marx Hubbard. And you just shared with me that you did a course with her, who, of course, introduced us to this awareness of the new species that was being birthed. And
Wayne Dyer was a good one too.
Wayne Dyer, well, now he and I went to the same mystery school. Every time that I was teaching stuff, and then the next minute he would bring a book out about it. And I'm going, well, I don't have to write that one, so that's okay. Yes, so all of these people, they're all, we're all pioneers at that time. Mm-hmm. And then recently the focus was more about, creating space for people to actually find themselves in a place of full acceptance in an energy vibrational frequency that presented itself and was reflective of this new earth energy. So when I first started this journey, I was given and I won't draw it or show you because I'm really bad at that. You're very good at creating memes. I'm not. I speak with my hands and my mouth. That's it. But I was given, the drawing of a circle, and then there was this little, like a new moon coming out. And then every so many years, they would give me a picture of that having increased and increased until eventually in 23.
Yes.
In 2020, we were only just touching. Well, we're no longer touching. So now that doesn't mean we have two earths. It just means that we have an earth that has already lifted itself into another realm of vibrational frequency, and they're superimposed. So they're all in the same place, just different energies. Yes. And so those of us who manage to lift our vibration in alignment with that can experience that, but those of us who are still not in alignment with that still have to experience the energy of the old. And so recently I was thinking, Barbara had all these wonderful names for this new species of, Homo universalis galactica, something or other. And she changed it according to how she felt. But for me, it's all about, I kept being told this is the new earth. So I really focus now on the new earth human. And that's why I invited you, because I thought, well, okay, to have these places of where people find, each other and find this new realm, we have to be what we, have to always be what we want to create. So what is most important is for us to be the new earth humans. And as such, we will automatically create new earth communities, which I have for many years already. And it's a very powerful community down here. And I'm encouraging people all around the world to really start their new earth communities.
Yeah.
I had a lovely new client about an hour ago, and she came to one of our gatherings, and that's how we met. And I said to her, well, what did you find was, what came out of that? Why did you came and then now you're with me? What's going on? And she said, it was the total acceptance. And, that really is something we've got to think about, is that this total acceptance of another human, another spark of creation in human form, instead of looking at each other as different, and is that difference good or bad, which is how we've been programmed to just see that's God's source having another experience in another human form, and it is as much of me as I am of it.
Yes.
So this new earth human, I just wanted to with you to explore, what does that look like? And you know, when we talk about things to people and they go, oh yeah, that's really nice, it's like the term, you know, we have these phrases they're throwaway phrases, and we go, yeah, I believe in that. And one of the ones that I really take people to task on all the time is, we create our reality. My answer to that is, so why are you creating that? Because we say it, but then we don't really know how to do that. Because
yes,
if we
it is about embodying, isn't it? Like embodying what we, like, fake it till you make it type thing.
Well, it's not even it's learning how the process of creation works, and that's part of this new earth human. And I'm really jumping ahead because that's not where I want to go just now, and I think we will probably talk about that more in part 2 and part 3. But for me, the foundation of it is, and what I think has come to the surface more than anything in the last few years, through all the drama of the separation and all the rules and regulation and the constriction and the power over and all of that. We were in jail. Well, we're in our own jail. So one of the things that's really come forward is that we lost part of our humanity. A lot of people, on one hand, we searched for it, but on another hand, a lot of people lost their humanity through judging others for not doing what they wanted to do to make them feel less fearful, or whatever reasons they came up with. And we need to find, first and foremost, I believe, to create the new earth human, is to come back to the innate, wonderful, wonderful things that make us human.
That's so true.
The kindness and all of that. Yeah.
Oh, there's so many things I could speak to about that. Where do we start? You know, the opening of the heart chakra is crucial. You know, I was actually even having this conversation with my partner last night, talking about, musing about, you know, what's happening in the world and what people are doing, because with this evolution of, you know, exposure of the truth and disclosure of what's been happening, a lot of people are sort of, in a sense, closing in and shutting down. And there's a sense of people's heart chakras actually closing more than opening, because they're sort of seeing all this darkness around, and they're going inward. But then part of the inward process is important, because you're going in and connecting with what's important for you, and you're connecting to your inner self. So it's like a balance, isn't it? I mean, you don't want to shut down your heart to other people because you see all this darkness that's in the world. And I feel that there is a lot of that going on, where people are going into their own space and sort of disconnecting, in a sense, from others, and wanting to be a bit hermit-like. I know a lot of spiritual people are feeling that way, but then again, as I said, this is also part of the process of we need to, in order to become our own sovereign beings, we need to be able to really connect to what is important to us. You know, what is our expression in the world? How do we want the world to be? All that sort of thing. So it's a balance between those things, but you really don't want to be shutting down your heart. You know, we're wanting ideally to go from that, where we've been. The Western culture promotes us being in our mind so much, you know, being in the mental body. And it's about stepping out of that mental body, that mind energy, and consciously bringing yourself into your heart space and opening your heart center. And like you say, knowing that everyone else, every other life force on the planet, is an expression of oneness, of divine unity and divine consciousness. And it leads me to some interesting memes, because, you know, these I picked out some memes I thought were really relevant for this. And the first one that I wanted to share with you, and I'm wondering if I can put it in the chat box here, in the comments. Here we are. I'll see if I can put it in the comments. I don't know if I can. It's not letting me put anything in the comments, but it's an interesting one. I can just share it with everyone, which is psychologist Stanley Milgram found that 80% of the population do not have the psychological or moral resources to defy authorities' order, no matter how illegitimate the order is. Therefore, only 20% have critical thinking capacity. Now, this is interesting, and psychology is, again, it's a paradigm or a system that's been created to try and allow people to understand humanity further, and it has its limitations, of course, because it's not the complete truth. But it's interesting to note that as a sovereign being, we need to be able to find our own inner source of authority, our inner, which is the divine, which is our divine connection, and that is such an important part of this evolution, that we're not allowing others to dictate how we want to live or who we want to be, but we're going inward and we're defining through our own inner parameters, what do we want to be, what sort of world do we want to live in, and we're then creating it. It's a very different way of functioning in the world than 3D, than what we've been doing. Another one that I thought was really interesting as well, which speaks to this, is a mind burdened with knowledge cannot possibly understand that which is real, which is not measurable. And again, that is that mental body mind approach, that is the truth and the only truth. And when you're connected to the divine, in a sense, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, because there's a universal consciousness and a universal truth out there, and we can only tap into that as much as our own soul evolution allows us to. And it will evolve as our soul evolves. So I think those are some really important points.
Thank you for sharing those. They look technologically a little bit impaired, but we'll work it out. But they're very, very powerful. So, yeah, you mentioned that you now work with energy healing, and I know that you do, work internationally. And for me, because I've been doing this for so long now, my focus is really on supporting people to find that innate core of Prime Creator, that is our what I call our encoded creative spark that we all have within, and that is has been hidden. It's been covered up by telling you what you should know and what you should learn. And as my friend Sofan always says, we're dedicated into becoming enslaved into a society that is molded and controlled by others. And so in the new earth, that is all not possible. When I talk about a new earth realm, it is a vibrational frequency. It is not going to Queensland to get warm. It is about leveling your level of consciousness where it cannot exist. So the lower vibrational frequencies will, because we are creators and we are electromagnetic, will draw us to, and will draw to us all that is available at that low frequency. However, if we are to lift ourselves to this higher realm of consciousness where love, peace, harmony, and well-being for all is awaiting us, then we have to become that to start with. And I think that is really what we've got to learn, is that it's not about someone else fixing it or creating it for us. As you said, it's all within us. And I know that people hear it all the time and they get tired of hearing it's within us. Well, within me, it's foreign to us because we've been so programmed out of a self-relationship that is loving and that is appreciating. And I keep saying, what's not to love? Without me, I have nothing. This is the most valuable asset I've ever had and I ever will have. and I treasure it, and I'm grateful for it every day, because if this wasn't here, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be enjoying this lovely chat with you. So when we look at that, some of the basic human values that we need to retrieve and we need to learn to express as a norm, because we have become so programmed into our norm being one of judgment, right, wrong, good, bad, all of that stuff. I got rid of that a long time ago. For me, everything is, and it's how I respond to it is how I will experience it. And I will say that again. It's how I respond to it, how well I will experience it.
Yeah.
And that in there lies all of the power.
Absolutely. You can have two people and they go through the same experience, and one goes potentially into victim consciousness and says it's all happening to me and I'm a victim, and how can this be happening to me, which is very disempowering. And then you have another person going through the same experience that says, okay, this is part of the soul learning that I chose for myself. I chose this experience because on a soul level, there was something I needed to learn through this experience. So how can I learn what I need to learn through having gone through this experience, as opposed to thinking this experience is happening to me and there's nothing I can do? Two totally different approaches to the same experience.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But until we're made aware of it, we just don't know. It's lack of awareness, it's lack of consciousness. So I've got a couple of things here that I'd like to, because for those of you who don't know me, I'm in my 83rd year, and so I've been around a long time. And so when I started this, the word soul was something that was on the bottom of your shoe, right? So we have a whole new language these days. But one of the things that was coming through, because we were called New Agers, right? Okay. And I love that your documentary is called The New Golden Age, because that absolutely, that's what we're into. And that's something that I would like to just cover very briefly, and I mentioned it before, is that we're in this process of the Earth moving into a whole different era of its own existence. And so we all think, we're so limited in our thinking and so narrow. We just think about, what can I get down the supermarket? But this Earth is traveling through the galaxy at some horrendous speed. Thank heavens for gravity. That's what all I say. We are in part of this movement of life in our galaxy, and that galaxy is only part of whatever. So this realization that that we are part of something so much bigger, and in that you can either get overwhelmed or you can say, okay, well, I'm still here, so let's enjoy the ride.
Oh, I love that. It's so interesting how, isn't it synchronistic? You're chatting to someone about something, and then the whole thing is relevant to what we're talking about now, because my partner said to me last night, do you think, part of this journey is about us being happy? And I said, well, in my understanding of what's happening, it's not necessarily a pursuit of personal happiness, but it's our contribution to the collective energy at the moment to be able to be part of this transition on a collective level for humanity, and at a broader picture, the impact that this will have in the cosmos and in all universes will be incredible. So it's not about our personal journey necessarily of, I really want to paint for the rest of my life and make beautiful creations and it's much more than that. It's our presence being here at this time. It's our energy in some way, if we're guided, if it's part of our journey to contribute to the collective. And I personally are very passionate and dedicated to contributing on every level that I can think of at the moment, to try and, contribute to this really key moment in time for humanity, which is this very intense transitional phase that we're going through right now. And I'm passionate about that, and I do so much work. And people say, "Oh my God, how do you do all that work?" But it's just because I'm so driven, because this is part of my this is my soul. This is my soul calling to do everything I can at the moment to really assist this process. And it's only some, just a humble sort of contribution from what I can do. But to me, that's how I'm driven. And then there's other people that might get the guidance to just be, to just be present in this process. And they're not necessarily having to do anything, but they just have to exist at this time and hold their energy and hold their space on the planet. And all of us are key components to this transition. If anyone was not here, there would be an element missing in this transition.
Absolutely.
So we're all just as important as one another, and we're all holding key aspects to this ascension. And so, I think that's really important to know.
There's two words that you mentioned that I want to follow, and one of them is contribute, and the other one just flew out the window, but I'll get to it. It's this, it's the contribution. One of, I've got this wonderful New Earth community around me here.
But it's wonderful. I used to live there actually in Mornington.
I know, it was so beautiful. And well, the Mornington Peninsula is absolutely throbbing with New Earth people. But the thing that I noticed in, since we've gone through this constriction of the whatever it was, I don't give it any energy, so you know what it was. But there is such a danger, and I think I wrote about it the other morning, that I'm now observing how people are slipping back to, oh, well, that was over now, I can just go back to normal. Wanting to go to the old normal, which is not normal, it's familiar. And so what I'm also noticing in communities, and I'm really very passionate about New Earth communities, and it's not about what the community can give you. Yes, of course, because just being with somebody of like mind and like heart, already it inspires you, it opens your heart, it's just automatic, and you love it. And what I'm finding is that then when you're fulfilled and you go, oh, but now, if that's all over, I'm going back to, and doing this and doing that and something else. And I can now go to the movies, and I can now go travel, and I can now do this. I don't have to do that anymore. And you just said, you are so busy contributing, and so am I. I get up at 5:30 in the morning. All my friends of my era, they're retired. They're grey nomads or walking without pushing a walker, or, and they go, why are you doing this? Because there's a life force in me that's telling me every morning, get up and contribute your energy. And so I would really encourage people, don't walk away from the communities and the people that were supporting you through these dark times. Go back in and, pay it forward. Push it, because it's about what can you now offer them? We need to go out and we spread our energy. And I know you do that. Wherever I go, I sprinkle fairy dust. It is like, that is what I do. I am a light bearer and a light creator. And so that is the contribution. And the word humble. You mentioned humble. And yes, and I feel very humble in what I do. But, my mum had a wonderful saying. She was a Dutch lady, and she used to say, what did she used to say? I'm trying to translate it into English. Every little bit helps.
Yes.
Said the mosquito as it pee-peed in the sea.
That's true.
Okay. And so you and I might be little mosquitoes having a pee-pee in the sea, but the sea is grateful. And it's so important to know that we're not here to take. And talked about this happiness. Happiness is feeling good about yourself. And so we're here to spread light. We are, New Earth humans. We're not really human anyway, but, we are here in human form right now to lead the way into a higher state of consciousness of the um, of the new species of humanness.
That's
And
right.
and if we look back in history, whatever history that you look back at, um, it is about, we haven't always been this. I always look in Australia, we have a little exhibition down here of Captain Cook's cottage in Melbourne. And if you go there, then Captain Cook, who was supposed to be the one that, established himself on the land in Australia, his bed's about this big, and I don't fit in it. You don't fit in it. And in my generation as a teenager, I used to really be very tall, and that used to bother me. But now, I look at people and everybody's giants. So we are changing continuously, adapting and being adapted for what comes next.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would love to share some qualities about the new Earth human that you're talking about, just so people can hear
Yes.
some of the things that we're talking about. So I've got some things, I love to share here.
Okay.
They talk about, for example, old souls. And these old souls are souls that have had many, many lifetimes, that have a lot of divine wisdom because of all those lifetimes of experience that they've accumulated. And so some of these qualities are things like love spending lots of time alone, so they're not scared to be in their own energy, highly intuitive and psychic, deep divers, always seeking truth and a higher perspective, often feeling different or like an outsider to the collective, authentic and truthful. They dream big, they're sensitive and empathic, ageless. You can see their eyes are shine and they light up, and they've got, these eyes that have light in them. Insatiable appetite for personal spiritual growth, innately understanding spiritual concepts, carrying a healing energy, sometimes introverted. They're coming from the heart space. They love to be of service, what we're talking about. Virtuous and moral, homesick for higher realms, often missing their place of origin, their
Oh,
soul.
yes.
Yes, zero interest in superficiality, highly intelligent, and solutions to the world problems seem obvious. So that's just some characteristics of old souls, and some qualities that embody these things as well that we want to consider when we're moving forward are the things that are talked about as the 7 heavenly virtues. So belief and trust in the right things, hope, belief that good will prevail, charity, unlimited kindness, loving kindness towards others, that sort of generosity of spirit, fortitude, never giving up, resilience, justice, being fair and equitable towards others, patience, accepting the grace to forgive, temperance, practicing self-control and moderation. And, there's, at the moment, we see a lot of things going out into this earthly realm that have no restrictions and no limitations, no boundaries. We look at a lot of the information being shared with young children to do with sexuality and genders and things like that. And there's absolutely no moral boundaries. So it's like we need to come back to defining what our moral boundaries are, and knowing that that is an important part of having evolution. We can't just do everything and expect things will be okay. There are a few more qualities, and these are called the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word, speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others, use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you're immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can. to avoid misunderstanding, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Always do your best is the fourth agreement. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are tired as opposed to being well rested. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. And we're not going to always do things perfectly. We're human beings and we're fallible. But, as long as you have an intention to always strive to be a good person and to be, kind to others and to do your best, then there's no need to be hard on yourself, because we're living in a world that is not perfect and it has its challenges. We've lived in a great sort of density in third dimension. So, we have been up against that. So, just be kind to yourself as well, I think.
Perfect. Is an end destination. There is no growth in perfection.
Yes, that's true. You just why continue? Because you're already there.
Do not want to be perfect, because that's an end product. There is no growth in perfection, and we are a work in progress and continues. This whole universe is continuously growing. Life itself is an energy in the motion of growth.
Yes.
So it's very important that we don't reach for perfection. It's just another word that has been imprinted upon us as something to reach for that is not reachable. Very bad English, but it's okay for a foreigner. So, I loved all of those things you said, and I'm going to add to them, because how do we recognize someone who's of a new earth vibration? Well, it is someone who has the courage to take charge of their own life. It is someone who's wise enough to allow others to do the same. That is so important. It is people who don't wait for someone else to tell them what is right for them.
Yes. That's sovereignty, isn't it?
That is sovereignty. Yeah. It is learning to sail your own boat with the universal wind in your back. It is someone who visualizes what they desire, inner knowing it will come to them in divine time.
Yes, and just releasing it to the divine so that it can happen in the divine timing that is appropriate.
New humans are people who know that freedom comes from within.
Yeah.
Regardless of their life circumstances. We either set ourselves free or we put ourselves in prison, and it's all done through the mind.
Yeah.
The mind is either your best tool or your greatest enemy.
I would say through the heart too.
Well, once you come through the heart, that's a whole different game. Yes. And this transition is about, I'll say, you need to give the mind a new job description.
Yes.
Okay? It's got to go from captain to first mate.
Yes.
Right? And the soul is the master, the heart is the captain, and the mind is first mate if it behaves itself. Can actually be demoted to deckhand if it's not careful.
Yeah. Good analogy.
So, I love analogies because they put it into an acceptable, understandable manner, for our mind to get. The new earth human radiates peaceful serenity in the midst of turmoil.
Yes.
And that is something that we've all got to learn at this time. And this is why what you and I are talking about today and what we're about is so important, because turmoil is part of the chaos of dismantling the old.
Yes.
The greatest things that we have to learn and to become really consciously aware of is to stand firm in our center amongst the chaos.
I like to think in weather terms as being still in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, and knowing when to stand firm and when to bend, which is, so beautiful what nature does. And we are nature. It's so important for us at this time to be able to traverse both realms.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Both
And
realms.
I think a lot of that being able to traverse both realms is about surrendering and letting go. Surrendering things like let go of comparing, let go of competing, let go of judgments, let go of anger, let go of regrets, let go of worrying, let go of blame, let go of guilt, let go of fear. All that surrendering things that no longer serve us and handing them up to the divine, and feel yourself just releasing them, and then allowing, therefore, the space for these new, more highly evolved energies to come in.
Absolutely. And, and to realize that the master, is not seen. It's not in the physical realm. The master is in the unseen. And I know there's only, we're so attached to it, if we can't see it, it doesn't exist, right? But it is I really think only 5% of what is real is in the physical, and
Yes.
the rest is in the unseen. And the more that you can become a conscious energy being, where, all my work's about energy. When I meet a person, I know everything about them because of the energy that they radiate. And so that people always say that dogs smell fear. No, they don't. They don't smell it. They sense it. They have this radar of feeling the vibrational frequency, and they react to that.
Apparently, even when before they walk in a room, they can read a person's emotional body even before they step into the room.
Because we radiate, and that radiance goes 2 kilometers beyond us, right?
Yeah.
We really don't know who we are at all. And so when, to have freedom, we need to be connected to a higher power, whatever you want to call that higher power, that created us in the first place. That the prime creator, this quantum field of I call it, it's the mega supermarket of life. And all possibilities and opportunities exist there. And it just depends on what you want to buy, and what you buy depends on what you can pay for. And the payment is energy. It is pure frequency. So when you go up to the supermarket in a high frequency, there's so much magnificence available. And if you go with a low frequency, well, there's equally the amount of that frequency available. It just doesn't feel as good.
That's true. I think that with the connection that everyone has to that energy, that divine or source energy or light or whatever you want to call it, it can be so different for different people. And it will, in religious terms, they try to channel everyone into thinking it was a specific thing in a specific way, like a man on a chair or something like this. But, the truth is that for everyone that can that they can perceive it in a different way, that energy. For some people, it's Mother Earth. And there's I'd love to share a beautiful quote from a Mexican healer and poet called Maria Sabina. And this is about her connection to nature. And she finds this divine connection through nature. She says, heal yourself with the light of the sun and rays of the moon, with the sound of the river and the waterfall, with the swaying of the sea and the fluttering of birds. Heal yourself with mint, neem, and eucalyptus. Sweeten with lavender, rosemary, and chamomile. Hug yourself with the cocoa bean and a hint of cinnamon. Put love in tea instead of sugar and drink it, looking at the stars. Heal yourself with the kisses that the wind gives you and the hugs of the rain. Stand strong with your bare feet on the ground and with everything that comes from it. Be smarter every day by listening to your intuition, looking at the world with your forehead. Jump, dance, sing so that you live happier. Heal yourself with beautiful love and always remember, you are the medicine. So that's her interpretation of that divine connection.
And doesn't it feel wonderful when you listen to those words, And when we respond to everything feeling rather than intellectually with right, wrong, and analysis. I mean, I used to be the queen of analyzing, and now I don't bother. I really don't bother. I want to just come to something really foundational, and I know with all the work that you do, and certainly the work that I've done on myself, and I continue to do with others, there is the biggest wound we carry is lack of self-love.
Oh, I have a quote on that too. I'd love to share with you.
It's full of quotes, this girl.
It's funny because synchronistically, that's actually the last one that I had that I really wanted to share. This comes from Osho.
Yeah.
I want you to become absolutely selfish. Love yourself. Be yourself. Don't be distracted by any type of people, religious, political, social, educational. Your first responsibility is neither toward religion nor towards nation. Your first responsibility is towards yourself. And that is the ability to love self. You know, there has been that conception that if you focus on yourself and you love yourself, you're being selfish. And that is from the dark, you know, because really everything emanates from how we feel about ourselves at our core. And so self-love is so key to everything.
And it is the foundation of your earth human. It is not, and you know, it is a love that is not a love of I love you. I mean, that's nice, but it is a love of creation. Creation is the energy, vibrational frequency of love itself. And so, you know, New Earth people, they have a knowing that is essential, the love of themselves in order to better know themselves. It's not a love of comparing to someone else. It is a love that comes from knowing that you are. You are life incarnate. What's not to love about that?
Absolutely. You know? And your ability to touch yourself in your body and just sort of say, I love myself. I love my body with all its imperfections that are perceived by society as imperfections, but are not imperfections. You know, we are exactly who we're meant to be, and we've chosen these bodies. I find that there's so much lack of self-love for the physical body as well by people.
Totally. And you know, that's not just that we chose this body. No, I don't think we, as the persona, didn't. Our soul, that spark of prime creation, created this body. We created ourselves. Into this form for the purpose of the mission that our soul came to Earth at this time. And I think that's something too to realize, that we're here at this time for a very, very big reason. And we must go beyond the persona gratifications that we are continuously bombarded for by this, have that, sell this, give that, you know. And it really distracts us from knowing who we truly are. And so the more that we come home to loving ourselves and knowing who we are, the less of that gratuity do we look for.
That's right. You
don't need to look for it, the more things come to us.
That's true. That's true. You know, a simple life is a powerful life, you know, at the moment. You know, it's like if you need to continually buy dresses to feel good about yourself, you need to look into that. Why is there the need to continually buy these things to create self-worth? And the truth is that it creates no satisfaction after the brief moment of you know, enjoyment when you've done it. You know, basically the less is more. And you know, I live on an island and there's not a lot going on here, although I'm doing, you know, a lot of work online and, you know, with you know, work that I do, but there's not a lot going on the island. But the simplicity is quite beautiful, and it gives me the ability to go inward, and it's extremely sort of calming, and it's simple. And you know, as you get older, you want more simplicity, don't you? You're more drawn to a life. You know, that's why a lot of people move from the city to the country as they get older. They're more drawn to the basic things of life, which is, you know, what is really important. Yeah.
Absolutely. I look, it is so important, and I just, more and more, less is more is what I really feel. There's just a couple here that are jumping out at me, and one of them is the New Earth people choose their own path rather than following dogma.
Absolutely.
Or rule other people's rules. If they don't resonate with you, then we're all encoded. We all have this individual key coding that we need to learn to resonate to. And that we're moving more and more to recognition of the power of sound, of music, and how that has also been hijacked, and we're learning to heal with music, and sound healing is so powerful.
Yes.
But just remember that, with that goes the sound of the way that you express yourself. When you express yourself in anger, the frequency of those words have, they have an impact. We have impact. And that's something that also we have not acknowledged and become accountable for. So the New Earth human is completely consciously aware and present. That's a big one. Present.
It's huge. Yes.
Of impact.
Yes, that's true. Taking the higher road as opposed to taking a lower road in everything that you do and everything that you embody. That was some great points.
And so coming from the present, here, there's just one little one that I want to share is it's people who realize that now is all we have.
Yeah.
Since yesterday is just a thought and tomorrow never comes.
The now moment, when you're 100% right here, right now, is your complete point of manifestation. If you're wanting to be a creator, that's your point of manifestation. It's also your greatest point of joy, where you can really access the highest levels of joy. Mm-hmm. And it's a skill. It's something to practice. You look at an animal, and their ability to be in their presence is something that we can really learn from. Or a bird, they've got a lot to teach us in that way. And, we have to, in a sense, relearn how it is to be in this reality that we exist in, because the old way of being didn't serve us.
No, absolutely not. It did not serve us at all. I just... I just love moving into a field where I feel free to be. It just is to be me. And at my ripe old age, and why do you have to wait to get to this stage of your life? Don't compromise.
Yes.
Don't compromise. Okay, don't compromise. You are so beautiful. You are so beautiful when you are in your innate true self.
I think the issue with people with that is that sometimes, because they have been living such a life that's been externalized by everything around them, they don't know who they are. They haven't been able to identify what is it that makes me. So it's that ability to really start going inward and to say, who am I? What's important to me? What raises my soul? What uplifts me? What contributes to making me the unique person that I am, and really identifying that. And when you've identified that, then you can tap into it more, and you can bring that more into your reality. But I think the first step is to just really be able to know what that is. And I think with all the distractions and all the externalization of everything that we've existed in, particularly in this Western culture, Western society, the materialism, the consumerism, it has been purposely directing us away from knowing what that is. And that is really important to seek at this time.
Absolutely. Well, we've made a little bit of an inroad into creating and encouraging people to step into their new Earth humanness, and I'm really loving our chat and sharing, and we seem to be really resonating with each other beautifully.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to our next one, which I think is next Friday at the same time. Yes,
Yes.
and we will take it to the next step. For all those of you who are watching, and who will watch it later, please leave your comments as to how you feel about this journey into new human. I can't even say it. New humanism. Oh, there's a good one. And what your challenges are, and because this is really all the work that I do now, is to take people by the hand and the heart, and show them the way to being a new Earth human in a new Earth realm of peace, love, and well-being for all. So, and that's why I still run those retreats, and you can find out about that on my Facebook page. So, thank you so much, Medyhne. Just lovely. Loved all your contributions, as I'm sure everybody does, and I look forward to continuing this, next Friday.
Oh, that would be wonderful. So lovely to connect. Thank you, everyone listening too. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, and bye-bye for now.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.